right, so welcome here to our first semifinal match of the Dallas Open, brought to you by Ultimate Card. Tad Macvaraeg and David Thomas. Both our semifinals are rematches of matches played earlier today. This one is really going to be defined in the game one. Tad on the play. He won the first time they played. This is David's worst matchup. Turn one Bomat Courier sends him to 19. If David can win this game, he's likely a favorite for the match, but it would be a huge upset.
Yes.
Bomat Courier into Earthshaker Kenra. This is the draw from Tad. It's 3 more damage, and he has David down to 16.
A lot of pressure on David to find some of these Ether meltdowns.
Yeah. How many has he played in the main?
4.
All right, that's a good number. Attack with Bomat Courier. There's an Aether Meltdown from David. He'll only take 1 from the Bomat Courier, and Tad no plays passes.
That's good for David.
Now, if Tad has a burn spell, he's going to Lightning Strike David's face at the end step. I was wondering if he should just main phase it.
Sure.
Just, don't counter this. Here we go, 3. And it now draws a land. It's Scavenger Grounds. Swings 4th card under Bomat Courier. David at 11. I like that just Kenra comes in and swings too. Is there a reason to that, or is it just why not?
Pretty sure it's a why not.
There's not like a white target player sacks an attacking creature of their choice.
Well, certainly not in this face-up deck list.
Fair enough. Here's Supreme Will from David on end step.
Once there is 4 mana available for David, Settle the Wreckage will become a relevant factor.
Okay, I love this. So, David, you didn't do anything main phase. End step, Supreme Will. Tad, hold on. In response, shock you.
Gotta get that one in. Also, with the Bomat Courier on the battlefield, getting that card out of your hand, that matters.
Yeah, just play it all.
Yep, that's going to draw 4 cards or more at some point here.
That's just that's gross. Like, oh.
It's great.
This is a hard game one for blue-white approach.
Tidings with haste.
I mean, I'm looking at David's removals fault. Okay, Aether Meltdown. Great. 2 Fumigates. Good, but really expensive. Cast Out. That sure costs
really expensive.
Really expensive. After that,
Gideon
what's
of the
next?
Trials is pretty nice.
Okay, Gideon's nice. And you say, well, what else do you have for removal? And the answer is, that's it. That's Settle the Wreckage? Yeah, okay, that could work. He says, go. Tad is going to abrade his own Kenra on end step.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets it out of his hand. It puts Kenra in the graveyard. He'll attack with Courier. This is threatening to put a 5th card under it.
You might see a Settle the Wreckage with the trigger on the stack here.
Yeah, Tad made sure to play his land pre-combat as well for that reason. 5th card under Courier, David down to 8.
Yikes.
Yeah, David has Settled the Wreckage. He's chosen against it. Now Tad going to discard another Abrade to draw 5 off Bomat Courier.
That makes sense.
Here's Soulscar Mage, and he says go.
Can we Supreme Will that one?
Oh, 4 more cards in hand. I mean, David might have to, but he'll end step Glimmer.
The other nice thing about the Abrade is if David casts Fumigate, that body is off the battlefield, so David would gain 1 fewer life. And you just know that there's no Gear Hulks in the main deck. Get it out of your hand.
Scries top, bottom, and draws, does David. His unknown card was another Settle the Wreckage. Land. And number 5 could Fumigate.
Yep. Fumigate away your 1/2. Your turn.
He's at 8. And he'll say go. Lightning Strike looks to be the draw from Tad. And here's the danger, right? Lightning Strike in hand. He's got Ramanap Ruins going on. There's a lot to like here. Now, as soon as David gets to Approach gains 7. So a very nice card for the matchup.
David does have Field of Ruin here. That can tag the Ramunap Ruins.
Okay.
So, neat.
Yeah, but you can't Settle the Wreckage, the 1/2, and kill Ramanap Ruins. You got to pick.
Yep.
David down to 7. Says go. Another Glimmer of Genius from David Thomas. Cast Out, one of the 2. Does he want that? Looks like he has Censor in hand. Top, bottom for David.
Though with 5 lands on the battlefield, David's only 2 turns off, potentially gaining 7 with Approach of the Second Sons.
Yeah, and there's no Skullcrack style effect card that would stop the life gain. David will cycle Censor here too. He's tapped down. This would be a chance for Tad to resolve a burn spell. Tad does not.
Fistful of lands and creatures it must be. Maybe like another Abrade.
It's at least 1 mountain and 1 more Ramanap Ruins on Tad's side. Now, I like Thomas's hand. He's got 2 copies of Aether Meltdown here. One thing, though, is I don't know if David has found an Approach of the Second Sun yet.
It's a problem.
Surprising with 2 glimmers that if he hasn't.
Yeah, these things can happen.
So here's Meltdown on the Soul Scar Mage. 2 energy from David. He'll say go.
A little surprised that Tad didn't use the ruins to throw the scavenger grounds at David there, especially with another land drop rolled up.
Oh, and this is why he wants Earthshaker Kenra out of the graveyard. He'll go ahead and eternalize that with his 6th land.
In the face of Settle the Wreckage mana, I don't love it, but I see why.
Yeah, should swing both. And I like these swings both due to Settle the Wreckage. David is going to, this is nice, Field of Ruin, away the Ramanap Ruins. Each player gets a basic. Now he has 2 mana.
Check for another Aether Meltdown.
Yeah. Taking 0. He didn't really want to Settle the Wreckage, both creatures there. If he gets Tad to enough mana, you might start seeing multiple Ramanap activations, something like that. So the Kenra is melted down. David stays at 7. He's going to untap it and draw a 6th land here, or 7th land. Does he have Approach? Can he just jam, go to 14? It would be a really strong play. He doesn't have it. He's going to have cast Search for Ascanta instead. It's a big miss for David Thomas to not have it here.
I will say that the way that things played out, and with Deckless face up, you knew about some potential shortcomings of the line. I think Tad was better positioned if he did throw with that Ramunap activation.
Well, how about this? It's Hazaret, cast by Tad. 3 cards in hand. So he made sure to cast it in such a way that even if David has a response, he can throw a card at David.
And there goes the Scavenger Grounds. That's going to reset the Search of Ascanta.
Ooh, okay, so we used Scavenger Grounds to get David's graveyard. Instead of converting for damage, this meant that David was able to cast out Hazaret before Tad was able to deal 2. While I like turning off Search for Ascanta, that is 2 damage he gave back to David Thomas.
For the 2nd time.
Yeah, he could have David at 3. Boy. And here's Approach. David goes to 14.
Game.
Well, not yet. He's going to have to do it again, but I love the gain 7. Yeah, and it's close to game.
Yeah, gain 7 pretty much ends this game. Especially with Search for Ascanta, he gets there twice as fast. Plenty of things to cycle and cantrips in the deck.
Tad would have to have, I think, another Hazaret here to have a chance of coming back, and then just have it not be answered.
Yeah. 14 is such a high number.
Yeah, well, Hazaret is, if he had one, it's 5, 7 with haste, go, and then 7. There's a line. I mean, but David has a lot of cards. I don't know how much I like it.
David's had a Settle the Wreckage for a while.
Agreed. So here for David, 5 more mana. It's going to just be Fumigate to take care of Carry Zev. Tad's going to abrade one of his own creatures in response to limit David's life gain, but David goes up to 16. Here's On-Crop Crasher, swing in. David to 13.
Yep.
A lot of mountains for Tad, only 1 Ramunap Ruins and no more deserts to sacrifice. There's this prioritization from Tad where he had Scavenger Grounds and Ramunap Ruins. And instead of using Scavenger Grounds as 2 damage from Ramunap Ruins, he used Scavenger Grounds to exile. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah.
And you see from David here, Settle the Wreckage. That's going to do it. Game 1 goes actually to David Thomas. And how big is that looking forward?
That's huge for David. He gets some pretty significant upgrades in the sideboard here.
Right. These post-board games are even, if not favored, for David. It means that had he lost this, the problem was he'd have to win a game on the draw, possible game 3, which is hard. Now that he has a game in his pocket, he doesn't have to win on the draw anymore. If he loses this game 2, he gets to be on the play game 3.
Right.
And it's just a huge result. So looking at our sideboard cards, David's going to have a huge swap in the deck. 4 Regal Caracal, 3 Flash of Talon. That's just the beginning of it.
Yep. Down the line, we have 3 Negate, 2 Torrential Gearhulk, a Disallow, a Guinea to the Trials, and another Settle the Wreckage. Almost all of this sideboard is potentially alive in this kind of matchup. Like the Caracal slash of Talons, those ones are excellent on the curve here. Torrential Gearhulk's just good against opponents who are playing Magic.
Yeah, I really like I have not liked Settle the Wreckage in all their matchups, but in this matchup, I'm a big fan of the card.
Yep. Clean answer to Hazaret. Anytime your opponent has 2 creatures, it's just so good because they're just trying to convert them to burn spells, and this extra Gideon of the Trials is actually really nice here.
Yeah, Tad's turning everything sideways, and it's one of those decks that really, even if you give him 3 mountains, he's not going to do much with it. So he has Regal Caracal, Slash of Towns, Torrential Gearhulk, Settle the Wreckage, Gideon. What are all the things that he gets to take out for this?
So a lot of it is going to be getting the deck a little bit more efficient. Certainly at least shaving one of the Search for Escantas. Pull from it tomorrow is probably getting out of the deck. Supreme will likely want to get that one out.
That's 4 of them. It's a big change.
I could see going down to 2 Approach the Second Sun. You maybe even go down to just the 1 copy because it costs 7.
Yeah.
And then Cast Out's pretty inefficient as well. I could see trimming or cutting that one.
I'm interested about Approach. I agree that it's 7. At the same time, I feel like the moment he hits the 7th land, there's nothing more, like that's the card he wants every time.
Regal Caracal actually can just close games.
Okay, yeah, so actually he just has another win con. He doesn't need Approach. He can just win with the cat.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually pretty solid. Does he keep in Disallow? Is there anything he really has to get with it?
Not especially. There's going to be situations where you want to maximize the potential number of answers to Hazaret. Sometimes you disallow an Earthshaker Kenra activation.
Sure.
You can hit a Ramunap Ruins in a pinch.
On Tad's side, his sideboard is pretty straightforward. 4 Chandra's Defeat, 4 Glorybringer, 3 Chandras, 2 PNLR, a Harsh Mentor, and then in case he needs to up the curve, an extra Mountain.
You really just want to beat down here. Chandra is nice because it's a non-creature source of damage.
So Fumigate, Settle the Wreckage, whatever.
Yep. Slash of Talons.
So
PNLR is worth 2 bodies. That one's fine.
The deck lists are face up, and Tad knows about the 4 Regal Caracal. Does he need to bring in Glorybringer so that he can answer it?
I think you just have to win before it matters.
Okay.
It's tall order.
Yeah, I mean, even if you remove it with Glorybringer, the 2 1/1s are still around. David might play another. It's still
So
you'd like to still lose.
We've kind of discussed over the course of the event is red players with Glorybringer in their sideboard. They end up just trying to play their opponent's game, and they just can't. The red deck plays the red deck's game. Ramunap Red is a burn deck. Throw damage at your opponent's face, hope it's enough. And if it's not, this 5-mana spell that you're not going to cast before the game's over anyway is not going to help you.
If you want to play a big card, Hazaret's great, and Hazaret's great. Just play that one.
End of list. There's some really good Glorybringer decks in Standard. Ramunap Red is not one of them.
Tad will be on the play for game number 2. In the meantime, we want to talk a bit about the Star City Games Regionals. Plant Your Flag. It's happening. It's coming up November 4th. Yes, November 4th. It's
Late
around
November
the country.
4th.
Late. I was going to say late October. I was like, no, it's not later this month. It's actually just about a month out. We're going to tell you more about it and where you can play.
Plant your flag at the StarCityGames.com Season 2 Regional Championships. On November 4th, play Modern at any one of the 10 regionals locations across the U.S. The first 200 players to register for each event will receive a Hammer and Scale playmat and Kraken token just for signing up. Regional championships are part of the SCG Tour with SCG points for all players. Top 8 competitors earn a trophy, a share of $5,000, and a spot on the Season 2 SCG Invitational. Visit go.starcitygames.com/regionals to learn more.
So November 4th, plant your flag at Star City Games Regionals. Tad on the play here for game number 2. Still favored on the play. David going to 6. Unlike a lot of control decks where card advantage comes easy as you go on, Blue-White Approach actually needs all its cards. I'm not sure how much David can go to 5 with a deck like this.
Yeah, you really need to rely on very perfect cards coming off of the top when you get low on cards.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you see control decks with, a lot of divinations, things like that, sure, you can keep 3 lands and some 2 removal spells, no problem. Here, Tad starts on Soulscar Mage, swings in for 1, and Carrie Zev will join up. David cycling Cast Out. He has those Slash of Towns in his deck. I like Soulscar Mage as a 1-drop because of how Tad plays that, playing creatures post-combat. It really makes it uncomfortable to play Slash of Towns.
You can cast it in the rarely used end of combat phase after you take damage, Talons it down, so that way even if they cast a spell, you don't take additional damage.
Earthshaker Kenra is cast. However, David puts Aether Meltdown on it. Takes, well, still 4.
I guess it's a step, not a phase.
Yeah, I mean, you can cast in the step. The problem is if Tad has the Lightning Strike, he's still going to just Lightning Strike you.
You go down a card. That much is true.
Yeah, you do save a point of damage that way.
The card that Slash of Talons lines up really poorly against is Karizev.
Sure. Sunscorched Desert puts David to 14. Here is On-Crop Crasher, a swing of everything. And Ragavan. 5 creatures come on in. Slash of Talons, perhaps on Crop Crasher. No, David goes to 7.
Yep.
Draws Fumigate. That's going to be too slow. He's going to need to have Settle the Wreckage this turn to clean up the board. And this is, I think, this is what you're saying, right? But this is the best way to answer Regal Caracal is
Just kill him.
yeah. If I kill you on turn 5 on my turn, you never get to cast the cat. But here's Settle the Wreckage. So how many creatures do we get? We had Kenra, Karizev, Ragavan, On-Crop Crasher, and Soulscar Mage. 5 mountains for Tad.
It is kind of nice for David that at this point, Tad has not presented the Ramunap runes.
Yeah. It's going to be a nice Jaws of Stone, though. It's going to just be lethal. Look at that. 8 mountains.
Got to figure that David's going to need to cycle any sensors he draws from this point. Unfortunately, from
Tapland,
here,
yeah.
he's not going to be able to convert Fumigate into anything meaningful.
So representing Glimmer here, David plays land 5 as a tap land. Not going to get to Glimmer yet, though. Chandra is the play from Tad. Okay, giving him all these lands means if he exiles a card with Chandra, he's going to be able to cast anything in his deck.
Yep. And this is the window where you'd like to have some number of disallow in the deck.
A mountain, David goes to 5. And so Chandra and Glorybringer.
Okay.
All right, I was going to say that red can't really utilize 9 mana, but I would be wrong. No problem. Here was my top end.
Notably, this Glorybringer is actually pretty interchangeable with every card in the deck, given what's going on.
Yeah, so there's Cast Out, Fumigate, and Glimmer in David's hand. He's deciding how he wants to clean this up. It's...
You got to get both these cards off the table.
Right, but the only way to do that is to go to 1 on an attack, cast out the Chandra, untap and Fumigate, and then go to be at 2 against a red deck who has 2 cards drawing to 3. I mean, it's the play he's going to make.
Yep.
Ooh, we'll see if it works.
He's just not winning this game.
Here's Fumigate, goes to 2, crosses his fingers.
Hope you got more
Well,
mountains.
there's another Glorybringer. That's not a mountain.
There's another red card.
And another Glorybringer in hand. So he had enough mana to just cast them both.
Sure, whatever.
Nice. All right, he's brought in the Glorybringers.
It would be incorrect to cast them both. I suppose David was tapped out there. So, whatever, he wouldn't get settled wreckaged.
So Tad Macvaraeg takes game number 2. He's on the play, David on the mulligan. That was another one where it's going to be tough for David to win.
Yep.
But because he got that first game 1, where he was on the draw pre-board, just he got the horrible game, it means that game 3 is quite winnable for David Thomas.
Yeah. Be able to get ahead, maybe leverage some sensors. Have some kind of answer on time for Karizev.
Yeah, so the card's censored. Does David Thomas sideboard it back in now that he's on the play? If it was out.
I think it's hard to sideboard censor out. Censor is just great on the play against everybody.
Okay. On the draw, it's slow here. I guess maybe it even still stays in because what else are you going to do?
Yeah. You want to be able to counter Chandra Torch of Defiance usually.
Yeah.
That one's typically censorable. Settled Wreckage was pretty good for Tad there, but Tad's start was so good. Even if it was the settle doesn't happen or whatever, David just dies. So we cast settle, and then he was at 5 at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
Tad's deck just does stuff that kills you from 5.
Yeah, you mentioned that Tad presenting a turn 5 lethal on the play means that Settle the Wreckage, you certainly have to do it because your 5-minute sweeper, you won't be alive to cast it.
Yep.
So he casts it, and then, Tad had 9 mana worth of follow-up. That is what it is. I'm not sure what David does about it.
Yeah, he can kill David with 3 mana worth of follow-up.
Right. All right, so they're going to go to a 3rd game. Now, over on our other matchup, the Jessup battle, Andrew Jessup taking game 1 here. Both of them are on Sultai Energy.
Maybe Settle the Wreckage is just a bad card.
I don't like Settle the Wreckage. I continue, every time we've seen it on camera, the player just, if you give someone 3 lands, Dex and Magic right now are just built to utilize that. You can say, they won't do anything with it. I mean, Ramunap Red is a definition of I think the closest thing in Standard we will get to a deck that can't use extra mana. And even then, you saw Tad use it. So they'll be ready for game number 3. Star City Games, we have entered October. Our new creature collection is the Vampire Night Fox. Now that it is part of Game Night promo, it means it is also available here on the Star City Games store. You can get it on playmats, sleeves, and bundles. On sale now, October 1st, starcitygames.com/creature collection.
Vampire Nighthawk would be a nice card to have against these red decks.
Yeah. I'll just Kenra it, no block swing.
David Thomas could be playing that dwarf.
You have to give me more than that, dwarf. I would.
It's
What's
like
the
it's
don't
a
know.
direct like color shift of Vampire Nighthawk, the vigilant one.
Oh yeah. Aerial responder.
Yeah. It would just die to a braid, but you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say you said we were saying it would be nice. I'm like, well, I guess there is one in the format, and he doesn't play it.
It would be acceptable. It would be fine.
Yeah.
It would not be sideboarded out.
Bomat Courier swings in for 1. I guess for the white hate creatures, what we have the Sun Champion. So there's a lot of actually good mono red hate in white right now.
Oh yeah.
Soulscar Mage from Tad and Aether Meltdown from David. Now, Tad does not have a second land here. We'll say go.
This is going to be a game where David almost surely doesn't want to cast Settled Wreckage.
Yeah. Sunscorched Desert, though, on turn 3 for Tad. He'll cast Earthshaker Kenra, swing it and Bomat Courier in, putting David Thomas down to 14 and getting a 3rd card under Courier.
Like to see like a Gideon of the Trials here into Fumigate.
How about land go?
All right.
And
Glimmer a Genius into Fumigate.
Yeah, it looks like there is a Settle the Wreckage in David's hand. So that question of, what do you want to cast it? We're going to...
Just pretend like it's not in your hand.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not into this card right now. Yeah, do you want to give Tad 3 more lands? And he's going to start casting Glory Bringers. David says, yeah, sure, let's do it. Okay, then. Let's see if he is going to cast Glory Bringers.
I don't know if I'm into it. Well, we'll find out exactly what the rest of his holdings are.
You know, if David's hand is...
I think he has like 3 lands.
Okay, so, well, if David's hand is more Settle the Wreckages, I could like it.
Sure.
So, like, I'll ramp you into spells. They'd be like, I'll play more creatures. I'm like, turn those into lands too. But it's Carry Zev is the post-combat play for Tad. And you have to figure that next turn there's going to be a lot of action on Tad's side. David just says go. 5 lands. I would love to see Regal Caracal there.
Now Tad has been gifted with Glorybringer mana.
Yeah, he has 6 cards in hand, now 5 mana.
This is the kind of situation where if you just have a meaningful card that's not Settle, you just punish Tad for having that card in his deck because he's just never going to be able to cast it.
Right, and even if David's hand was just Settle and lands, he probably does have to cast Settle the Wreckage there. You can't keep taking the damage. It's unfortunate, though. Earthshaker Kenra is the play from Tad. David Thomas will Aether Meltdown it. Takes 3 off the carries of. Down to 11, though. Cast out the draw for David. Plays land 6, says go.
That'll deal with carries of.
And land. Yeah, it is island, plains, cast out. Goes to combat. David will cast out the carries of. So no attacks. Tad plays a Sunscorched Desert. That puts David down to 10. Plays Chandra. Pluses it. We'll see if it's for mana or a card. It's for a card. Another Chandra puts David to 8. David's hand is 2 basics.
Yeah. Plenty of mana to cast a bunch of stuff next turn. Might as well just get into chip shot.
Soulscar Mage from Tad. A draw from David. He needs some action. Here's land 7. Looks like he hit Glimmer of Genius. It's one of the better things he could be doing right now. I don't know if it's enough.
On 7 mana, he can't Glimmer into Settle the Wreckage for this turn.
Right. So here's a swing with Kenra and Mage. It's just for 1. He's putting the Kenra in out of respect for more Settle the Wreckage. And Chandra plus shows Pia Nalar. 2 damage, or do you want to cast it? Yeah, 2 damage.
I like
David's to
2
5.
damage. If you just cast Pia, then you end up in a spot where Fumigate gets better for David.
And Hazaret with 3 mana up. He says go. Glimmer of Genius from David Thomas. Aether Meltdown, a white card. He doesn't want either of those, so he will put 2 to the bottom and draw. Tight spot here for David. He's at 5 in the face of a Hazaret, in the face of a Chandra. He's going to cast Supreme Will. He's looking for something. But I'm not... So Ryan, help me out here. I don't know if he has something he can draw to. I would want to say it's Approach of the Second Sun, but even if he gains 7 here, I think he might take 12 on the following turn.
Yeah, that's just not enough. We have Hazoret, we have Chandra, couple creatures on top of that, number of cards in hand.
Yeah, he's got a blue card. It may be a Gear Hulk here. I guess that could settle the wreckage again. Just load Tad up on more lands. At this point, that's pretty free.
Yeah, he's already facing down 4. Now, actually, he's got fully lethal and non-combat damage if he's able to plus Chandra, activate Hazoret twice.
On our other match, the Jessup War finishes. Andrew Jessup winning 2-0 for the second time. At least today, he has his older brother's number, and Andrew is on to the finals.
Attack with Soul Scar Mage here, and Tad has this game rolled up any number of ways.
Swing with just Soul Scar Mage. I like it.
He
Well, he only has, oh, I guess you're right, 2 Hazoret discards and a Chandra activation is enough damage.
Yep. And he declined on the end step Hazoret activation. He did have 3 mana, and frankly, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, you have enough mana. Like, you'd normally do it on end step because you don't have enough mana to do it all main phase.
Plenty of mana, plenty
Right.
of cards, no way to lose this game.
David saying, what exactly can he do here, if anything? He's got Cast Out in hand. You know, if he has the Cast Out in hand, I feel like he needed to play it main phase to get rid of Hazoret. Now he's going to play it here. But Tad can discard cards in response. This is tougher.
Also, the Chandra still is not activated this turn.
Right. All right, 3 mana. Mountain to 2 damage. David down to 3. Cast Out resolves. And Mage puts him down to 1. Yeah, Chandra pluses to 7, and that is going to do it. Tad Macvaraeg taking both sideboard games off Blue White Approach. He is your winner. So we had rematches in both semis, and both of them go the same way.